Hey, folks, here we are. It's Wednesday, October 4th. What a great day it is. I'm Tom Young, and I'm here for podcasts called Money Shifts. You can find them at anchor.fm.com. You can find them on my website, firstconsultantsinc.com. We're here to make a difference. We also have our friends on Facebook at the Family Money Farm group. You need to share, you need to join, you need to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. So the information could be the most invaluable information that you ever come across. We're going to get a little erratic today, and we're going to talk about confiscation of your 401k and on and on and on. There is a lot of turmoil going on in the government, and everything I talk about is about financial success. It is about being in control of your money and making it work for you. That's really what this is all about. So today we're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about saving money, how to make money work for you, how to generate passive residual income, which is the only pathway to true retirement planning and retirement success. Start with a quote. I'm opening my quote book up here, and we're still with Martin Luther King Jr. And today the quote is, "A just law is a man-made code. A just law is a man-made code that requires A just law is a man-made code that squares with the moral law and the law of God." So much of what is going on around us today is moving away from such things as the subject was talking about. We start every presentation with a prayer for everybody. Everybody has been impacted by COVID-19, the virus that was launched from the Wuhan lab in China, as it is believed, that is controlled and owned and operated by the CCP of the Chinese government, the Communist Party of China. So what do you think their motive is to what's going on, to what happened, or whatever? I'm just getting you to expand your thinking a little bit. If we look from the 30,000-foot view, conspiracies could say, well, maybe China did this because of a test. They wanted to see how far it would go, because when this happened, China blocked all of their population that was in that area from going anywhere in China, but they opened the gates and let them fly anywhere in the world. Isn't that interesting? So, if you're into conspiracy theories, maybe that's a way to look at it and a way to think about it. But I don't believe China is our friend. I believe they are very hard at work in the darkness and in the shadow to cause the collapse of the U.S. government and the United States as we know it today. Now, I titled this Confiscation of 401k by the Government. Now, this was a discussion several years ago. It was all over the internet and on and on and on. And it, it was debunked by politicians that said, oh, that's never going to happen. Well, yesterday, first time ever, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, was ousted from his speakership by the Congress. That never happened before in history. And so what's going to happen going forward? Now, I see the stock market this week was down 400 the other day. It was down almost 400 again yesterday. So the market, if nothing else, is having some sweaty moments, so to speak, of possibly what's going on. And the so-called gurus always have an answer on what's causing this to happen. I think the moral decay of America for the last 4 to 6 decades has led to where we are today, and there is no turning to a direction. I mean, the direction that we are headed does not look pretty in the future. We have 33 trillion of debt, 193 trillion of unfunded liability, and the debt in the last year, they spent $2 trillion more than they took in as revenue. So if we're going to increase the debt at a couple $1 trillion a year moving forward, now where do they get the money? They borrow it from around the world. They borrow it from the Federal Reserve, who buys assets for their balance sheet that currently has $9 or so trillion on their balance sheet. How did the Federal Reserve buy that? Well, they printed money from nothing through the concept of fractional banking, and they used that money to buy assets for their balance sheet and shove that currency into the marketplace. So they increased the currency supply, which is the root cause of inflation. Hey, folks, when are we going to stand up and get it in the chest and stop letting it go over our head? They're saying right now that going forward, the interest on the debt with the rising interest rates is close to $1 trillion just in interest. Imagine that. They collected $4.6 trillion in revenue last year. So if $1 trillion is going to go out just in interest on the debt that continues to increase because they can't stop spending money, what percentage of the revenue of the government is going just to pay interest? Think about it, folks. Let's talk about reality. I have met people in my office that were buried in credit card debt. And if you have $10,000, $50,000 in various credit card debt, the new interest rate for credit cards, and I've seen them, is 20.49 up to 27, 28%. I cannot imagine having a lot of debt and paying 27% or even 20.5% in interest on that debt. It would take you forever to pay it off. If you're paying the minimum payment, you're never going to get it paid off because the next emergency is going to show up before you get it paid off. And that is what happens to most people. The next event in our lives comes into play, and we're forced, because we have no savings, to go to our credit card and increase our credit card. Labor and Statistics shows since COVID, since 2020, credit card usage has skyrocketed, and with the inflation of the last couple of years has added even more fuel to the rising use of credit cards to buy food, shelter, clothing, to buy the everyday needs of existence. When and where is it all going to stop? At one time, you could read stories in the internet about the government confiscation of 401ks. Their plan, as I remember reading it, and you could probably still find this because things on the internet never disappear. You can always search them out and find them. But they were talking about creating Social Security Part 2. Social Security Part 2. Yeah, so they would take, there's about $8 or $9 trillion sitting out there in 401k money in those accounts. You are partnered with the government, and the government has the ability to declare an emergency and change the rules. They have done it in the past. I'm sure they will do it again in the future. And they would take your 401k money and call it, say, look, we're going to create Social Security Part 2. We're going to pay you 3-4% interest on your money guaranteed. And because we need the money. The government does not need any more money whatsoever until they get their house under control, which they do not have. My belief, my vision is somewhere along the way, we will get a leader that will have the ability to take control of this. People will be awakened enough to give that leader, control. And they're going to have to privatize a lot of the government, which the government shouldn't be in anyway. It should be in the states, most of what the government does. We do not need federal oversight over our schools. That is a state function. But yet they spend billions of dollars a year on the educational department of the federal government. So things are going to have to change dramatically in the future. Now, how that change is going to happen, I don't know. It may be in the form of an all-out revolution, which I don't wish to happen in any way, shape, or form. It might be in the form of a government takeover, a military takeover, using the concept and the documents that were created in 2011, referred to as GESARA, that's GESARA and ESARA. If you want to learn more about that, you can go on YouTube and search out Dr. Scott Young. He has written several books. He is not a relative. He's a doctor, written several books on the subject, and he speaks about it extensively. Something is coming, folks. Something has to end. This game that we are playing right now, it's like we're in a submarine and we're running out of oxygen. Think about what I just said. We are in a submarine submerged underwater and we're running out of oxygen, and there is no way to get this submarine back to the surface again. That is my newest analogy. So give it some thought, folks. Now, all of that being said, it has to start with you and I getting control of our finances. Realizing that all the advice that we get is gone. What happened to our camera? I just put in a new battery. And why did it go? There it is. I'm back. I must have bumped into something. But anyway, everything that is going on, all of the advice that you and I have received over our lifetime is skewed to the benefit of the financial world and Wall Street. Remember, there are 4 rules I talk about. I want all your money, more ongoing, keep forever, give back as little as possible. And that is the reality of the financial world. The people that teach the classes in colleges are all products of Wall Street and the financial world. The thing that I've asked recently, if you have somebody in your life that you know is absolutely wealthy, you're going to do some research and you will find out they didn't get there by saving money in their 401k. They started a business of some kind. They created a product that everybody wanted to buy. They did not get there by the means that are being taught to us in our colleges, in the financial world, etc., because those things that we're taught do not lead to velocity of money. They do not lead to passive residual income, which is the only true method of retirement planning. So what are we going to do? I think you should start by getting my book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. You can get it for free. Go to cfo-project.com. Right there it is, coming over. Put in your name and email address. You'll get an email with a link in it to get a copy of my book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project, and my bonus, the new ebook called Financial Mastery Coaching, The Blueprint. We'll talk again in a couple of days. Please take to heart what I'm talking about, because there are major, major changes coming in the future. How soon? I don't know. Could be next month. Could be 10 years from now. But we're in a submarine and we have lost the supply of oxygen, and the oxygen that we have is going to run out. And when it runs out, it's going to be a disaster. God bless you all. We'll see you here in a couple of days.